right. I'd like to call the December 17th, 2024 City of Gardner Planning Commission meeting to order. Everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start with roll call, starting on my right.
Commissioner Combs present.
Commissioner Souza here.
Commissioner Mader here.
Commissioner Cooper here.
Commissioner Berg here.
All right, we have a quorum. We have the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the Planning Commission for study. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted upon by one motion with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item from either the Planning Commission or from the floor, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. And we have the standing approval of the minutes as written for the meeting on October 28th, 2024. Any commissioners like to discuss the meeting minutes? Okay. Any member of the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Combs with a second by Commissioner Sosa. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries 6-0. Moving on to the regular agenda, item number 1, Prairie Trace Meadows, 4th plat, item number 24-304-09, final development plan, final plat, located west of the intersection of Redbird Street and West 178th Street.
Good evening. This is a plat that the applicant is requesting approval for. It includes a final development plan and a final plat, and it's for the 4th phase of Prairie Trace Meadows. Shown here is the existing conditions. The subdivision is the 4th phase of the 356 lot Prairie Trace development, which is south of 175th Street and east of I-35. It's part of the Grotto development. The property was annexed into the city in 2019, and the rezoning for Prairie Trace Meadows was adopted by the governing body at its April 20th, 2020 meeting and was slightly revised last year. The subdivision itself is shown in red and was originally going to be the 5th plat, but the developer revised the phasing plan to swap the order of the 4th and 5th plats. The items before you tonight are for a 20-lot subdivision on 4.82 acres. That's shown in red on the screen, and surrounding it is the rest of that development. This is the final development plan, and the building type is for 50-foot wide lots, and they're the detached neighborhood residential type. Infrastructure will be extended from the surrounding phases. Gardner will provide the electric and sanitary sewer, while Water 1 will provide the water. Shown here is the final plat. Tract G to the south will contain a portion of a walking trail that will continue through the development. There is also a 10-foot easement between 2 lots at the end of the cul-de-sac for a sidewalk. Both Tract G and F in the center of the cul-de-sac shall be owned and maintained by the Homeowners Association. The development was granted several deviations as part of the preliminary approval to allow for houses with 2-car garages. There are no additional deviation requests for this phase. There are currently multiple builders in the earlier phases, and these are some of their plans that have been built. Staff finds the final development plan and plat are generally in compliance with the revised preliminary development plan and plat. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan, or the policies in the comprehensive plan. It is within 1 mile of New Century Airport, so just like all the other items in this development, it has to go to them for approval. And as mentioned, the phases 4 and 5 were swapped. Staff recommends approval of application 24-304-09, final development plan and plat for Prairie Trace 4th plat with the conditions in the recommended motion. And staff is available for any questions.
Thank you. Is the applicant present, and if so, would they like to say anything?
Good evening, Dan Foster with Schlego representing Grata Development.
Can you state your name and address? for
Yep.
the record?
14920 West 107th Street, Lenexa, Kansas. First of all, thanks for coming for this item tonight. Appreciate that. And I just wanted to say that I have nothing further to add to the staff report, just that we agree to the stipulations that are on the recommended approval. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess we can start with commissioner discussion on my right. Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't have any real material questions, but maybe just one inquiry for my own educational sake. And it's specifically related to the deviation number 7, the neighborhood sidewalk. And, you know, the code identifies direct connection to the street. I'm well aware of what that means. However, could you educate me on connect to driveway? Because aren't all sidewalks or most connected to a driveway? So other than that, could you?
Yeah, so can we take the slides back to the elevations just real quick? So the sidewalk that's referred to in the code is the sidewalk that goes from the front entry of the home being connected directly down to the sidewalk. In the neighborhood style of building type that we have, there is a requirement that sidewalk goes directly to the sidewalk. So your entry sidewalk going each entry. Routinely what you get is sidewalks that'll come to the driveway out of the entry, so they'll wrap around the corner. You can kind of see in the middle, well, actually all 3 of those are examples, but the middle one shows it probably the closest, which is a pretty standard application. Now what makes that work for us in a lot of ways is the location of the front entry and how it's working on the facade too.
Gotcha.
So we get requests regarding that kind of deviation pretty routinely with this building type. A lot of times because of the framework, especially in this subdivision where we have mixed housing styles, there's 70-foot lots in other portions of these phases, things like that. We're trying to blend a variety of housing styles together. So
Sure.
What's being referred to, you're right, your front sidewalk will always connect between driveways running along the street, but your front entry sidewalk in the building type, we would require that runs directly to the sidewalk. So you'd have to have basically a grass strip between the driveway
Sure.
and that sidewalk. So,
When you identified front entry, it cleared everything out.
Okay.
So thank you for that explanation. I don't have it.
Commissioner Sosa?
The only question I had was, I noticed that they were swapping, the order of the faces, but then Jess kind of clarified that for me, so I'm good. Thank you.
Well, I have the same just question on the swapping of the phases, and could you go back to that just so I could see a visual? Maybe not so much a question, just so I can see what we were swapping out. So what was the 5th plat originally is now the 4th, what we're looking at this evening, I understand, and then we'll entertain then the other areas of the future meeting as they come, correct?
correct.
Okay, right.
Isn't it right?
That's correct.
Okay. So then everything, and I'm not trying to read too much into this, just for my understanding. So what I'm seeing now on here that is still stated, 4th plat is going to then become part of 5th plat?
So the 4th and 5th plat were swapped. This was taken from the approved preliminary development plan. They did submit a revised phasing plan, but that's not on the screen right now. This is the older document.
We don't have the new phasing
We
plan?
do. I just did not put it in the presentation.
Okay. I'm a very visual person, so that's why I was
Phase-
trying to understand then the scope of what it would be for the 5th plat.
And
So the 5th plat would be the portion just
That
to the
area,
west.
right? And then over on, then to the, yep, that's what we're looking at this evening, and then the estate's fifth plat, like south of that area.
Different part of the project. So the estates lots, and Dan, you may want to address this a little bit. So the estates lots are those larger lot
Correct.
sizes.
Mhm.
So what I believe Jesse's referring to is the fourth plat Meadows. And the
Meadows.
fifth plat
Thank
Meadows,
you.
Yes, so those are
Yeah.
the two that the swap is
Okay,
occurring.
got you.
Yes.
Thank you. That was the clarity I was looking for.
Yeah, the estates one is
Mhm.
different. Those are different sized lots with different development.
Thank you. Perfect. Meadows, that's what I needed to hear. Thank you. I'm good.
Commissioner Cooper?
I don't have any questions.
No questions for me.
I didn't have any questions either. Seemed pretty straightforward to me. If there's no further discussion on this, I will entertain a motion.
I can make that motion. After review of application 24-304-09, final development plan and final plat for Prairie Trace Meadows fourth plat, and staff report dated December 11, 2024, the Planning Commission approves the applications as proposed and recommends the governing body accept the dedication of right-of-way and easements, provided the following conditions are met, items 1 through 3 of the staff report. Or I should say, of the proposal, recommended motion in the staff report.
You did a good job.
I've been gone too long.
I second.
A motion by Commissioner Mader and a second by Commissioner Combs. All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 6-0. All right, that is the end of our regular agenda. Staff, do we have any updates or anything?
Well, I'm gonna wish you all a happy holiday period here as we get into Christmas and New Year's. I'm glad we could take care of this meeting a week in advance. Normally, we would have been scheduled for next Monday. So it's nice that when we have items like this that are coming in at the end of the year, we can take care of it. Just like the applicant on this item, I thank you all for coming. I know when you get the packet and you see, oh gosh, I'm going in for one item, it's still a good service. The community needs those things to move forward, so appreciate you doing that, and want to thank you all for the time and efforts that you put in service to the community through this role. It's a critical role. A number of you, I think Commissioner Mader now is the veteran. She's the one that's been with the group the longest, and the rest of you, you've been kind of learning along the way, so it's great to see you here, and again, I appreciate that service. We will have a January Planning Commission meeting. We will have, I know, at least one major item on that agenda on I believe it's the 27th of January, is that right?
Yeah.
So January 27th. So it'll be important for everybody to be here. I think it's a project. If you haven't heard about, there's been some annexation activity over around 175th and Clare, and that's where this is stemming from. So it's a rather large project, so there'll be quite a bit to talk about, I'm sure, out of that one. Otherwise, we're looking forward to a good 2025, I hope. Hopefully things go well. As far as the end of the year here, we've had a pretty good year. Last year was probably a high for us on single-family building permits. We reached, I believe it was 184 of those last year. At the end of November, we were at 131. We'll probably finish, I want to say, around that 140 mark, something in that area. That's still higher than most previous years. We were averaging closer in that 115, 110 to 120 range. So we're above that, just not at the same pace as we were last year. I think some of that had to do with the interest rates at the beginning of the year, some things like that kind of influenced the construction activity here from a residential standpoint. So as far as year end, we're wrapping that up. We'll have some of those final numbers pretty quickly and have a good understanding maybe where we're at building permit wise. We're hoping with interest rates being dropped and kind of on that downward trend, it may impact some of the plan approvals you all have already granted. There's been a number of developers who kind of sat and waited. When they were bringing stuff in, just over a year ago even, at that time we knew we had people that wanted to get started, and then they looked at interest rates, re-looked at their performance and said, let's kind of sit on the sideline here. So we're kind of hoping that's going to start coming through also. So Anyway, with that, I don't have anything else unless you have questions of staff. So we need to
Bob
talk
off
about-
easy tonight.
Huh?
Bob got off easy tonight.
Yeah, he got off easy tonight, but we still made him come. We wanted to make sure that he also had to come for one item.
It's always a pleasure.
I think, I don't know, most of you met Maggie at the last, I think, John, I don't remember, you were not here. So I'll just reintroduce, Maggie Brewster is Deputy Director for the department. She was recently brought on board 2 months ago, right at 2 months. So she's going to be working with us on process improvements and a number of different things as we start looking at even how we're presenting things to you all, the planning commission, some of the staff report items. We've already been digging into some of those things to try to gain some efficiencies, but also improve some of the stuff that we're putting in front of you on meeting nights and in your packets and things like that. So Maggie's a welcomed addition to the group. I'm glad to have her on staff, quite frankly. I don't worry if Bob does or not. That's probably why he's sitting over there. So, yeah. So, but other than that, I'm good. If you're good, enjoy the holidays. So, be safe.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. Motion Mater, second by Sosa. All those in favor, or Coop, sorry, Cooper, and then Sosa. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?